It started in 2008 when my boyfriend at the time and I moved to Winder, Georgia from Florida. My boyfriend Mike and I moved into our family's house for a few months until we got on our feet and got an apartment of our own. The house they lived in was a one-story house with a daylight basement that was furnished. When you got to the bottom of the basement stairs, to the right was a little kitchen, then you make another right and there was what they called the dirt room. There were also two bedrooms to the left of the dirt room, one full bathroom and a living room. Our bedroom was a few feet away from the dirt room. Of course, there was no door for the dirt room, so when we'd walk by it, we would see total darkness and a pile of dirt in it. It also had at least one window. When walking by the room, we could feel the coldness come out of it, and I would get anxious passing it every time to go up the stairs. I never understood why it was never finished. One day, I remember taking a nap in our bedroom with the door open. In the basement living room, one of the teenage kids was sleeping with some of his friends on the couches. As I was waking up, I saw a dark shadow walk by the bedroom door towards the living room. The shadow looked like it was the size of a small child, but the kids in the living room were all teenagers. So at the time, I assumed maybe it was one of the kids. So I slowly and nervously walked out of the bedroom and looked in the living room, but they were all sleeping. I brushed it off and figured, well, maybe I was dreaming. Then on another day, I remember being in the bedroom with my cat Dino. I started to leave the bedroom and I see what looks like a large black shadow just gliding across the ceiling into the other bedroom to the right of ours. I froze and just watched the black shadow disappear into the room. I did not dare go into that bedroom to see what it was. I ran back into mine and shut the door. My stomach was in knots. My mind was trying to make sense of what I just saw. So when I told Mike about it, he just laughed, but was curious as well. Now that dirt room was to the left of our bedroom, so it's possible whatever it was came out of that room, glided past ours, and went right into the next one. I was just glad that the kid that slept in that bedroom was not home at the time. The third event happened when I was in the basement and heard all of the kitchen cabinets in the upstairs kitchen opening and closing. All of them at the same time. I ran up there to see what was going on. As soon as I walked into the kitchen, it stopped. Nobody was in the kitchen. Again, just didn't make sense. But I kept trying to, tie these incidences to the dirt room. Thankfully, it was not long until we moved out into our own small one-bedroom apartment in Duluth. I figured these little events were done. I assumed it was their house that had a problem, but no. It started at the apartment too. I worked full-time during the day and Mike would leave for work around 4 a.m. One morning after he left, I stayed up and I started watching a movie in our bedroom. After about 20 minutes, I swore I heard the front door unlock, the door shut, the car keys drop on the kitchen counter, and then the sink turn on. For some reason, I felt knots in my stomach, like I knew it wasn't him coming back because he forgot something. I waited a good 10 minutes before going into the living room to see if it was him. I was just sitting in bed with my blanket over me, too afraid to get up and look. Finally, I got the courage to go check. When I did, of course, nobody was there. The apartment was small enough I could see the whole living room and kitchen. I figured if the noises came from the upstairs apartment, I'd be able to tell the difference. Like the noises would be more muffled. I felt relieved nobody was there, but at the same time just really confused. It was so clear, the noises. It was like someone really walked inside our apartment. So I went back into the bedroom and watched the movie until I had to go to work. I told Mike about it, and while he did believe me, what can he do about it? The only other thing that happened while we lived there was when I would sit on the couch in the living room to watch TV. Out of the corner of my eye to the right in the kitchen, I would see something move back and forth fast. I had no idea what it was. I would always quickly look at the kitchen, and of course nothing was ever there. I didn't think it was a shadow from outside, it moved so fast. It was like something running back and forth. This happened many times while living there, and this time when I told Mike about it, he said he had the same experience, but we just had no idea what it was. Living in Georgia was just too hard. We couldn't land full-time jobs and was racking up debt trying to survive, so we moved back to Florida. We moved into my late grandmother's two-bedroom condo. We were living there for a few months. Nothing was happening. Then one night, I was sitting in the living room wrapping Christmas presents when I see a short, animal-like shadow walk past the kitchen. I saw the tail too. I still had Dino at the time, and he also saw it. I saw him perk up, eyes wide, and just stare at the kitchen. I really just laughed this one off. I thought, really? Now an animal shadow? On another night, the same shadow also walked into our bedroom past the bed towards the bathroom. All I saw was the tail go by me. So I can deal with animal shadows, but adult-sized shadows are another story. There was one night I was lying in bed and Mike was in the garage, which I didn't know at the time, and I saw a tall shadow run into the hallway bathroom. I just laughed and said to Mike, "Ha ha, very funny, I saw you," who then proceeded to walk in from the garage and ask, "What'd you say?" That creeped me out. I was afraid to even go to sleep in the bed because my side of the bed faced the hallway with that bathroom. Now, my grandmother did pass away a few months before we moved in, but I don't think it was her, because she passed away in a facility, not the condo. Plus, I don't see her really being like the playful type of ghost. She was more serious. So as we lived there over the next few years, even to current, my now husband Mike would feel someone hit his foot as he would lie in bed. When he would look to see who it was, nobody was there. I didn't smack his foot, and the cats couldn't do it. And he felt an actual hand. It's one thing to see shadows, but to have something touch you is another. Only one time I had my foot smacked, but most times it's my husband who would be touched. It makes me think someone or something is following us from place to place, but it's more focused on him. It makes me think maybe someone on his side of the family is attached to him in spirit. These experiences since Georgia didn't feel like anything negative. It felt like more of like a playful type of entity. Nothing bad was happening. It's not hurting any of us. But still, to see things and feel things can be a little scary. And to this day, Mike still feels someone touch him from time to time. This story happened a long time ago, but my cousin and myself still remember it like it was last week. Our families were very close growing up, and we were at their house often and usually would watch movies together. We were young, and this was around the time killer clowns were going around. We would watch movies, and they would usually be horror, like The Conjuring and Ouija and Annabelle, etc. I was about 12 at the time, my cousin was 14, her brother was 12, and my brother was 8. We were in the basement one night while our parents and older siblings went out for the night. We didn't have babysitters, so we would just lock the doors, stay together, and didn't answer the phone. My cousin's basement had a TV in the corner of the room, and on the same wall was a projector. My 12-year-old cousin and my brother had the hockey game playing on the TV and Call of Duty on the projector, while me and my 14-year-old cousin were sitting shoulder to shoulder on the couch, back to the wall, with our headphones in, watching videos on our phones. Our brothers decided they were hungry and turned on the lights as they went upstairs to find something to eat. Me and my cousin sat for about 5 minutes before her brother's bedroom door in the basement slowly closed. When the door came to a full close, the lights in the room turned off along with the projector and TV. I paused the video I was watching on YouTube and first assumed it was a power outage, as I didn't believe in ghosts, but when I checked my battery, I saw my iPod was still charging. Before I could do anything, I heard the sound of my brother and cousin laughing, almost giggling behind my head as if they were right behind my ear, but it didn't sound right. It did not sound like them. It creeped me out and my head shot up towards my cousin, who was already looking at me with her eyes wide. Neither of us missed a second to get up and run upstairs. The first thing we did when we got up there was look at each other and say, "You heard it too?" She agreed, explaining to me what she heard, which was exactly what I had heard. We walked towards the kitchen and saw her brother. We explained to him what had happened. He didn't believe us and told us my brother had been in the third-floor bathroom since they left and said they didn't talk or laugh. This creeped me and my cousin out even more, and when he went downstairs, everything was turned back on and the bedroom door was open. We talk about that night every few years, and it still creeps us out to this day. I'm not sure if I'm haunted, but I do have a lot of ghost stories that started happening after that night. For example, the kids I babysit for would tell me they see things around me. There would also be similar things from that night happening to me in my basement, with or without other people there. When I tell people about them, they seem to have something happen to them afterwards, and they would tell me about it after. Usually the ones who joked about what happened or not believing it had the encounters. I think something followed me out of her basement, but I don't think he is evil, if that's possible. My buddy's old house was haunted, and people would always hear footsteps and creaking floors, and they would see a black figure around the house. But I didn't. One night we were all over, and my friend who lives in the house dared someone to go into the basement. Being the only one who didn't see anything, I was fully willing to go. I got down there and waited for about 2 minutes. And when I was about to get out of the basement, I saw a shadow in the corner of my left eye. I snapped to my left and saw a large, dark figure. Like not black, it seemed devoid of anything or any presence other than the cold that came over my body. As soon as I saw it, the hair on the back of my neck stood up. I froze, just staring at it. The feeling was surreal. I can't put it into words at all. Then my heart pumped super fast and my body got really warm. Everything just screamed danger in my head. So I turned to my right and ran towards the stairs. I looked for a half second back at it. It is now just a few feet away from me. That's when everything in my body went wild and I just jumped up the stairs and ran up to the first floor where everyone was. I dropped behind the armchair, staring at the stairs. Everyone asked me what was wrong, and I pointed and they finally looked and saw the thing on the stairs. We booked it towards the balcony and jumped into his backyard. We looked up, expecting to see it just standing there. But no, nothing. Nothing was there.